Dude, being from Seattle.
Oh, yeah, I am. Well, Olympia. Let's just clarify.
Being
I'm from
being
Washington.
from Northwest, from Puyallup.
I got so many
Yes,
people
you
saying.
did.
We got so many people from
very
like
sensitive
TikTok.
subject.
Yeah, they're like, say squim, or they're like, say this one. It's squim, and you're like, squim. They're like, no, it's sequim. Like, no, okay. And then people are telling me that I was saying Puyallup wrong.
Puyallup wrong.
And I'm like, how old are you? You're wrong.
She's like, you're from there and you're still saying it wrong.
And I'm like, no. Or like, people can't say Centralia. Like, there's all sorts of weird ones.
Yeah.
They're still coming in. Like, somebody say, there's one that's called Hoquiam. There's all these like beach town cities, you know what I mean? Like just off the ocean stuff. And they have weird names. This is what it is. And people are like, I think 2 days ago, someone was like, do you know this one? Like Lily Wop or something. You're like, what? I didn't even know that was a city or town or whatever
Got
it is.
totem poles on the
Village.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Washington. Everybody's got totem poles.
But no, the big thing that just broke is, so I know of Kurt Cobain, and I know he was, super popular in Nirvana and
The grunge era, baby.
grunge era, and he tragically died of suicide. Well, now it's coming to light that it may not have been suicide, that it actually was a homicide committed by at least one, if not multiple, assailants.
There's definitely something going on.
So,
Well, we have better technology now.
yeah, forensics and stuff. And it's like, I feel like they just took a really lazy, and again, I didn't know I just took for granted what the media had fed us for
It's 1991.
for so long.
When he died.
I think it was 94. 94.
Is it 94?
Yeah, I think it was April of 94. If I'm
Oh, and
not
Utero
mistaken.
came out in 92. Huh?
But it's
Whatever.
reading into it, they had this guy who's like this really well established forensics investigator, and then a separate gal, I think her name
gonna
is
get us
Michelle.
Just get their hands on it. Let's see what you got.
Yeah, they created a 10-point report that ultimately explains and took a second look at why this was a homicide. And the ultimate conclusion was just like, there's no way this wasn't a homicide.
Well, you just, I
Based
got
on the evidence.
just from what I remember. I mean, I was a child at that time. I was 12, 13. When that happened, everyone was like, the letter doesn't match up. There's two different handwritings in there. It clearly, if anybody sees it, I could give it to a third grader and they'd be like, I go, with this, are these the same as these letters? And you'd be like, no. So when I was a kid, there was always that thing that were like, they kind of alluded to. They never said it,
Yeah.
but they were like, that's odd. There
The
was all
handwriting
these.
and I had never heard that growing up. Like, I had never known that there was a letter where the handwriting.
Have you seen
didn't-
it now?
Like, that's how little I knew about the story. So I see a picture of this letter that they're talking about. And yeah, it's a very, like 95, 98% of the letter looks the exact same.
Right.
And
That's the-
and
yeah.
then it's almost like a third grader, started to write like this little bottom section. And
yes.
upon reading it, the whole 95, 98% of the letter is talking
Nothing to do
about
with-
how he wants to leave Nirvana and leave the band.
Yeah.
And it's these last like little 4 lines that can't be more than
No.
like 25 words. That is the suicide part. And it's just like,
It talks about his
that doesn't
daughter.
make sense.
Like,
yeah, it's like, take care of my daughter. She's
take
going to
care-
be better off without me.
It was like right at. It's like someone.
It's just a very-
Maybe he did. Maybe he offed himself. I don't know if we can say how, but maybe he. Whatever happened in the suicide there. Maybe she stumbled onto it because we all know who she is. Maybe she stumbled onto it and was like, "Oh, reading this letter, like, oh hell no, I got to write something about the kids, you know what I mean, and myself, whatever." So I kind of get that part, but I'm like, clearly somebody else wrote this. It wasn't.
I thought,
you know what I mean?
I think it was more of it's someone who, if this truly was a murder, I think it stands to be someone that had something to lose by him leaving the band.
Absolutely.
And that then is your reason for murder, because and again, I don't know where the music rights go. Like, if he was to leave the band, do they lose rights to the music and hence lose a lot of money?
That's a good
and
question.
maybe if he's dead, do they then get to retain that because the band's still around? And
Yeah.
they
What's the
retain-
contract look like?
I don't know. And that's my point, where it's
Yeah.
like, that's where I was. I mean, and again, they talked about how their point of this investigation is not to like convict someone. It's just to figure out like, hey, let's just put a
happened?
set of eyes on this. So yeah, that was very strange. The other thing that I thought was really strange is the size of the gun.
Yeah.
Is massive. And so for someone
what'd
to
you do?
commit suicide,
What do you do with your toes?
yeah. And it's like they said physically you could do it, but they found in his system that he had like 10 times the lethal limit of heroin.
Oh no, he was
in
big.
his body.
If you watch that, there's a documentary that came out. I don't know. I want to say like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah,
where he's
big heroin guy.
Yeah,
I think no one's
West
denying
Washington.
that. But
what happens
if you have 10 times the legal limit? They saw, the autopsy report showed that there was brain damage and liver fit. Like there was blood, like bleeding eyes. Like there were all these things that are absolutely in line with, hey, this was an overdose and this would have killed you, and to the point where you stop breathing and what have you.
Yeah.
So if someone does that, how then do you maneuver a gun of that size to a point where that something like that would be possible?
Have you
and it's not.
I've never done heroin, but every time you see them, they're like halfway bent over or sleeping.
Like Breaking Bad is my thing.
Yeah.
Like Jesse Pinkman does it. Him and Jade do it, or Jane do it, and they're out in 5 seconds.
They're out, but they're laying down. They can't. They almost
almost instantly.
They puke and then they're like swallowing. They're trying to they're choking on their own vomit. And you're like, how is someone going to pick up a gun on that much heroin and then go, oh yeah, and then do it with their feet?
They said the three needles that he used were capped and placed like nicely on a nightstand. And if you're giving yourself a lethal dosage of heroin, you're not taking your time to put the caps back on the needle. You're not. The shotgun shells were laid out like stacked around his body.
Yeah.
The receipt for the gun and the shells that he bought were in his pants pocket. It's just like the guy who was doing this, forensic guy, who I think his name's Brandon. They're like, this is like, someone is overly trying to stage this to where it's like giving every piece of evidence on how this was. It's like it was too clean of a thing.
We thought that when we were kids. We really did. We were teenagers at the time, but I mean, like it wasn't. It was presented that way, that like, oh, he was a heroin addict, and his music is kind of depressing. Not really depressing.
Dare was a big program. This is why you don't do drug, kids. Like this guy that you love.
They took advantage of that. We'll get into Dare. We figured out what that was later.
Was it? See, I don't even know. I'm so sheltered, man. I mean, I know what drug and alcohol resistance education. Like I know that, but I don't. If you want
to go down a rabbit hole and find out actually what that was. It was some kind of marketing scheme, basically for laundering money. Hey, I just learned
Even
this.
more reason to cover this up.
Hey, but I just learned this. I was like, oh shit. And we're, as ironic as it is, we buy those shirts that say that now when we're older, and it was a thing that doesn't exist anymore. And you're like, remember the Dare shirts?
Yeah,
and you
Dare.
Or people use
run
them
by a bunch of Somalis out of Minnesota. Dare.
Shots fired.
Ground zero of
Dare. Shots fired. Oh, those poor Minnesota. Where's that been? I haven't seen anything like that in a while anyway.
No, it's funny.
All that stuff gets. Yeah. We could go on and on about that one. That gets.
Yeah.
All that stuff gets swept under the rug, just like the Epstein shit.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, but so that, and there was. The other big thing they saw, the way his gun was positioned in his hand was over the muzzle, like the muzzle, it's a part of the gun where the shell casing's dispensed, and so they're like, if he had the gun like this, the shotgun shell from the shot was like across the room. They're like, if his hand's like this, it's covering where the shell comes out.
Yeah.
So if he did shoot it like that and the hand stayed there, the shell's not moving or leaving the pocket. They reenacted it. So this, like, it blew my mind that this is the first time not only that I've kind of learned more about, I guess, the situation from the beginning, but the fact that no one has really looked into this in now 32 years is crazy.
Well, I'll say this about, like, and you see it in movies, you see it in shows and stuff, but like, how do I say this in a nice way? The police are not always, they want to solve a crime.
They also don't want it on the books for 30 years.
Exactly.
Either.
So they want to solve it. So they think things happen, and they convince. I mean, they're very good at convincing people.
Closed. Like, they don't want case open. They don't want open cases. Sure.
They don't want to. I've seen it so many times, and we've already seen in real life how many times, like, we close it, it's good. And they open it back up, and you're like, oh, you planted that, or oh, you had him say that, and then you guys locked away and you violated rights or whatever. We always see this stuff, and then you're like, okay, this is odd, but it's normal because it's one of those things. I'm not talking about every police officer. I know some, they're great, but there are some detectives and some other. We all know who they are, and they just go, this sounds good. Let's make this happen. Let's close this up.
Well, they blame it on the autopsy. Hey, autopsy's saying this was a suicide.
Yeah.
Why would we reopen this? It's closed. It's done. Like, they know more about this than we do. Like,
Right.
So it's kind of not that they don't want to solve it, but that's
True crime is great.
I'm
right?
not going to question what the coroner's saying. Like, why would I not trust what the coroner says?
But sometimes they get that paperwork from the coroner. I know I'm not going off movies like this.
Your
this
Honor.
stuff,
Yeah,
this stuff's happened.
Yes.
This stuff does get forged, and they're like, "Hey, maybe you should write it this way." You're like, "What? That's not what I saw."
Yeah,
this is what we found.
Unknown. It's like, no, it was.
Well, yeah. There's all. I mean.
Sure. Yeah.
That's a big.
No,
big
so
thing.
that segment was crazy to me. And if you haven't, like, we can maybe post the link to the article that's in there.
Yeah, well, there's a few of them actually.
Yeah, just really really interesting.
The Kurt Cobain
stuff.
thing is it was shocking when it happened.
How many rap songs have the reference to Kurt Cobain and
that's how popular it was.
It's wild, just such a important figure. Just even if you didn't like his music, you know who he was, and you kind of knew.
Everybody knew who he was. There's kids today that were born 20 years after his death.
I mean, I can't name more than 2 Nirvana songs.
Really?
Yeah, but I was young. I mean, I was born in '87. Like, so I was 7 when he died.
I'm from there, so it's like it was there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
exactly.
They're from Aberdeen.
Exactly. I was like,
well, I shouldn't say they're from Aberdeen. They started in Aberdeen. Girls from California. They moved there to Aberdeen later, but I mean, it's like when they're in high school, that's where they went to Aberdeen High
Interesting.
School. Yeah,
interesting.
And Aberdeen's an hour and a half west, maybe 2 hours west of Olympia. So we knew who they were.
Yeah.
But we didn't really actually know who they were until they were in the UK, kind of like Jimi Hendrix. No one knew who Jimi Hendrix was until now. There'll be people out there that say it. Oh, I knew him in the 60s. Cool. Okay. But his popularity grew in the UK first. They're like, who's this? And Nirvana had some crazy concert in the UK a long time ago. And they're like, wait. And they had just signed with a very local, record company because they came out with Bleach in 1989 or something, 88 or 89. So they've been around for a little bit, but it was like local. You know what I mean? Local popularity.
Yeah, just that scene. Like, it
is a wild scene when you think about it.
Of that scene, of that era. Like Pearl Jam.
Didn't last very long, but it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, all those guys.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I could talk music forever. But, yeah.
Crazy. So, yeah, very cool.
Check that out, ladies and gentlemen.